Hello, hunters, riders, and of course, visitors. I am Just Smile, and welcome back to the channel. And welcome to my second video on Monster Hunter Baraminology. And you may notice something different today due to how I'm talking. I am not on a script today. The last video took a long time to do with a script, so I decided to try out just going off of what I've written in my notes. So we'll see how that works. This is very similar to how a lot of scientists do their stuff, so I thought I'd try it out. And today we are going to be expanding on some of what I did in the last video. Specifically, I will be giving scientific names to the members of the two Baramin that I established in the last video. And those Baramins are the long and short-finned wyverns. If you watched the last video, you will know that the long-finned wyverns are made up of Plesioth and Cephalos, including all their subspecies, and the short-finned wyverns are made up of Lavasioth, Gyrtodus, and Beotodus, including all of their respective subspecies. So let's get started. First up, the long-finned wyverns. And we will be starting with the family that Plesioth belongs to. I have named this family Aquaidae. I'm sorry if I really messed up that pronunciation, but my reasoning here is aqua means water in Latin, and idae, as far as I'm aware, is a suffix used in taxonomy to refer to a family. So obviously it would be Aquaidae. I imagine this family is known for holding many Piscine wyverns that dwell in large bodies of water and possibly deep bodies of water. Thus, the Plesioth would fit in this family since it is the only Piscine wyvern known that dwells in such deep waters, such as oceans and large rivers rather than swamps and even waterless environments. Next up, we have the genus that contains Plesioth, and I have named it Cornu, which means wing. This is meant to point to the fact that Plesioth is the only Piscine wyvern that has such developed wings, or wing-like structures. They may not be wings, but they certainly appear to be like wings. So I have given the genus name Cornu, which means wing in Latin. Then we have the Plesioth itself, Cornu gigas, which is the scientific name for that I've given to the orange Plesioth. Gigas means giant, and I think that's self-explanatory. The Plesioth is quite large, especially the common species, which I have labeled the orange Plesioth. Next up, we have the green Plesioth's scientific name. Most people know that when you name a species, you give it two names. The genus name, which is the name of its genus, the genus that it falls into. It comes first and is capitalized, and then its species name, which comes second and is always lowercase. And so we have Cornu gigas, Plesioth, specifically orange Plesioth. But with subspecies, at least with animals, you don't change the species name because it is simply a subspecies. It's not different enough to warrant it being called a different species. So we just add another name on the end. That name is lowercase, just like the species name. It's basically just an extra species name. So for the green Plesioth, I have given it the subspecies name viridis, which means green in Latin. So the green Plesioth's scientific name that I've given it is Cornu gigas viridis, the green Plesioth. And obviously the reason I named it viridis is because it is green. I did think of possibly giving it another name which means large, since it is larger than the orange species, but I thought that was a little bit repetitive. But that is it for Plesioth, at least for now. Stay tuned for later videos to find out what that means. But then we have the next family, the family which contains Cephalos, and the last family to be contained in the long-finned wyvern Baramin, at least for now. We have Turpicidae, and Turpis, at least I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, means streamlined in Latin, and obviously Idae is family. So we have the streamlined family, which I think would categorize Piscine wyverns that basically just glide through everything. They just go right through it, which I think is a pretty good description of Cephalos. And then we have their genus, Paraneae, which means sand. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory why I've named this genus sand, since these are the only Piscine wyverns, at least for now, to burrow through the sand. And then we have the cephalos itself, specifically what I've called the dark-shelled cephalos, meaning that they are the cephalos when they transition from being male to female and become a cephalodrome, they turn black. Their scales turn black. And I have named it Paranae nigrum. Nigrum means black in Latin, so that's why I named it. That's a species name. That's why I named it because when they become female, their scales turn black. Pretty self-explanatory. Then we have what I call the light-shelled cephalos. These are cephalos that, when they become female and become a cephalodrome, their scales do not change color. And so I have named the species Parene nigrum. Sorry, this is a complicated name. I'm just going to pull down the curtain right now. This is a complicated name, and I need to figure out how to pronounce this one. Caeruleum. I butchered that, I know. But it means blue in Latin. That is what I've named this subspecies. Parene nigrum caeruleum. Yeah, I'm just gonna move on past this one, but that's its name. You see it on the screen anyways. But that's it for the long-finned wyverns. So let's move on to the short-finned wyverns. First off with the family that contains the Lavasioth and Gerototus. Terraidae. Terra in Latin means earth. Both Gerototus and Lavasioth burrow through the earth, just through different mediums. So I think this is quite fitting for them. Then we have the genus which contains the Old World Lavasioth specifically. So the one in the pre-5th gen games. I've given this genus the name Magnus, which means great, because these wyverns are quite large, like most Piscine wyverns, but they are quite large and they don't need to go through a transition like the Cephalos to get there. Also, unlike the Plesioth, their size does not seem to depend on their location. They seem to just grow to that size no matter what. So I think this is quite fitting for the Old World Lavasioth, which is quite large. Then we have the name for the Old World Lavasioth itself, and I've named it Magnus ignovamus. Ignovamus means volcano in Latin, and since it lives in the lava, I thought that was fitting. So we have Magnus ignovamus. Then we have the genus containing both the Gerototus and the New World Lavasioth, and I've given this the name humus, which means ground. It's basically another Latin name that means something similar to earth. I know this seems a bit a bit repetitive, and it kind of is because the family name is Terra. But my reasoning here is that these, unlike the genus which contains the old world of Oceoth alone, this genus contains creatures that inhabit multiple mediums of Earth. So I thought that ground was a bit more fitting. I don't know. I'm honestly not sure about this one, so if you have any other ideas, I would be happy to look over them in the comments. But then we have the New World Lavasioth's name, which is Humus ignis. and ignis in Latin means fire. And I think that's obvious because this is a species that lives in lava. And then we have the New World Ceratodus's species name, which I've dubbed Humus lutum. Lutum means mud, and again, self-explanatory. Many people think that the New World of Oceloth is kind of like a subspecies of the Ceratodus. And while I do agree in function, that is true, it's very much like in the actual game, it operates very much like a subspecies, but in taxonomy, I just don't think that's possible because I think they're just too distant because to be the leap swimming from swimming and burrowing through mud and swimming and burrowing through lava would be massive. Their armor structure must be completely different. Their bodily structure, since it actually spits out at least lava-like stuff, it's it must be so extremely different. And its heat regulation must be completely different. The differences aren't always apparent on the surface, but due to where it lives, I can infer that there must be a lot of differences between them just because they have to adapt to such different environments. So that is why I have named them different species rather than subspecies of each other. So again, Humus lutum is New World Ceratodus, and lutum means mud. Ceratodus swims through mud. Pretty self-explanatory. Then there's the Old World Ceratodus, which I have dubbed a subspecies of the New World Ceratodus. I have named it Humus lutum insania, and insania means madness in Latin, and this is kind of a personal thing, but I just always thought that compared to the New World version, the Old World version of Gyarados, the one that's in Monster Hunter Rise, is just, it seems like a psychopath. It's running around, it's spitting mud everywhere, it's just like, it's laying down traps. The thing's crazy. So that's my, that is my, that's why I named it Insania, because I just think it's a crazy mental, like I just think it's a mentally crazy animal. But it's not kind of a goofy name, but hey, like scientists semi-recently named a larger species of spider the Newcastle Big Boy. So they named it Big Boy. So I don't think I am too silly right now compared to them. And that's a real animal. But then we move on to a new family, which I have named. Sorry, I need it's a long word. I need to look up how to pronounce it again. Congelationes. And congelationes means frostbite in Latin. And I think you can see where I'm getting here. This is the family that I've placed the Beotodus in. Now, you might be wondering, why did I put it in a different family? Like a whole different family. It has many similarities to the others, right? Well, it does, but it also has a bunch of differences. First off, its face shape is different. Its fin structure is different. Its color is different. That's not really big, but it's there. It has this massive horn. Like it just has so many differences. Its teeth are different. Its teeth look far better at attacking land prey, which makes sense because it needs to eat because it eats popo most of the time rather than aquatic life. It just looks so different that I've decided to put it in a different family. Still in the same Baramin, but a different family. But that's my reasoning. It just looks so different. And it behaves very different. It doesn't burrow through any sort of earth, it burrows through snow. So now for the genus. I've named it Glacies, the Glacies genus, which Glacies means ice in Latin. So, again, just kind of repeating myself again, but eh, if you would like to, you can take that up with me in the comments. And who knows, you might suggest a name that I really like. And I might do another update video. Or make it a post, I don't know. But then for the Beototus itself, I've named it Glacies pistris. And pistris means shark in Latin. And I think that is warranted because it behaves much like a shark. It has that dorsal fin that looks a lot like a shark. It swims through the water, poking its fin up like how people think sharks hunt, but really they don't because that would be stupid. But but it does the shark thing that that Hollywood has made us think is something real sharks do. So if you're out for some reason shark hunting, don't think the shark will let you know when it's coming because it will not. But yeah, that's my reasoning. Beatos is a lot like a shark, so Glacies Fisterus, Fisterus means shark. There you go. If anyone got that reference, then I will be very impressed. And then we have one more in this genus, one more species, Glacies ingens, which means huge in Latin. Can you guess what I'm talking about? I'm talking about those fossils, those gigantic fossils that you can see in, I believe, the Linnean village found in the Hoarfrost Reach in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Those are gigantic Beotodus skeletons. Now you might be wondering why I didn't make this a subspecies of Beotodus because I even wrote down in my notes ancient giant Beotodus. Well, the reason I think it's a separate species is because there's a lot of change that comes with being massive. I'm not gonna lie. Like that, especially that much larger. Its bone structure must be a little bit different. Its inner, its innards must have been different. A lot of things probably were different with this individual. In the fossil record, it's easy to point at something and say, "Is this but bigger?" It's not that simple when you get into the nitty-gritty of things. So I've named it a separate species. But yeah, that's it. That's it for the scientific names of the members of the Brahmins so far. That didn't take too terribly long, only about a half hour, and it'll be trimmed down, so it probably won't be too long once it's all done. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you don't mind me playing catch up because, yeah, I did not cover as much in that last video as I wanted. So this is just the start, but trust me, we'll get to some pretty exciting stuff very, very soon. So look out on my channel. I'll be doing a post probably very soon about the video that comes after this one. I think it'll be a fun one to do. Also, tell me what you thought about this recording style, going off script, going off of my notes. I found it kind of fun, honestly. You know, and even though I do like writing scripts and I would very much like to continue to write some scripts, I wouldn't mind doing some of this either. Yeah, tell me what you thought. Yeah, I've been Just Smile. Thank you for visiting my channel, and I will see you later.